Episode 7. Final verdict. The courtroom was completely silent. Every seat was filled. News reporters from across the country waited outside. Millions of people watched the trial live. Victor Hayes entered the courtroom in handcuffs. Just weeks earlier he had been one of America's most respected businessmen. Now he stood accused of murder, fraud, and conspiracy. Daniel Cross sat quietly beside his attorney, Sarah Bennett. He looked exhausted. Months of accusations, months behind bars, months of being called a murderer had changed him forever. Judge Eleanor Brooks entered the courtroom. The court is now in session. The prosecutor stood. Your Honor, the state withdraws all charges against Daniel Cross. The courtroom erupted. Daniel closed his eyes. For the first time since his arrest, he could finally breathe. The judge looked directly at him. Mr. Cross, this court finds you completely innocent. You are free to go. Tears filled Daniel's eyes. Sarah smiled. Ryan Carter quietly nodded from the back of the courtroom. But the trial wasn't over. Victor Hayes slowly stood before the judge. He looked around the courtroom, then he spoke. I killed Michael Stone. I stole millions from the company. When Michael discovered the truth, I knew my life was over. So I made one terrible decision. I murdered my best friend. The courtroom fell silent. Victor continued. I needed someone to blame. Daniel Cross was chosen because he had no connection to me. He was the perfect victim. I planted the evidence. I erased the security footage. I thought no one would ever discover the truth. Ryan looked at Victor. You destroyed an innocent man's life. Victor lowered his head. I know, and I will regret it for the rest of my life. Judge Brooks looked at Victor. Victor Hayes, this court sentences you to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The gavel struck. The case was finally over. Weeks later, Daniel returned to Lincoln Heights High School. The students stood and applauded as he entered the classroom. He smiled for the first time in months. Outside, Ryan Carter and Sarah Bennett watched through the window. Ryan quietly said, "Justice came late, but it came." Sarah smiled. The truth always finds its way. The camera slowly pulled away from the school. The screen faded to black. The end.